today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty darn good. I'm so excited to chat with you. A little bit of background. I came across I met Kate at the ES at a conference a few years ago when you were doing a little book tour chatting about Strong is the New Pretty, and I just fell in love with the story, and knocks my doors off, if that's a saying. Um, that the wisdom that comes from children, it really just blew my mind.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly like it's so funny. Like, as a photographer, I really, and not in a weird way, I love the honesty of kids. I
Yeah.
love that they don't have a good side. I love that they are not afraid to like show off, you know,
Yeah.
and I
Hmm.
love that that they are totally comfortable like most of the time in front of the lens, and I feel like you really can like capture personality and essence and energy, and we lose that as we get older. We like lose that sort of piece of ourselves that's like, no, look at me, like take my picture, like I look good, or I'm good at this. I want you to take a picture of that. And it's sad because we need that.
I know that was we'll get deeper into the book, but and I'm so excited to dive into it. But do you mind just giving a brief synopsis about who you are, what you do, why you're here, type of thing?
So my name is Kate Parker. I go professionally by Kate T. Parker because when I started as a photographer, there was a Kate Parker photographer.
Oh,
So
okay.
I feel like the T sounds like snooty, but it's literally just to differentiate me from another photographer.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and okay, I am a mom and a photographer. I have two girls who are now 15 and 12. And I my background was I worked at CNN, and then I worked in an ad agency, and then I had Ella, who's 15 now, and I needed an outlet. And
Hmm.
so I played soccer my whole life. I've been an athlete and a runner my whole life. So the first year I did an Ironman. That was my outlet. after
Wow.
after
Wow. That's a hefty outlet.
I know I needed like basically a part-time job. Like
Okay.
I needed something. And that I had been doing triathlons before I had her and running marathons. And then I was like, I have to do something. And so it's funny, I just like sort of reverted back to what I knew, which was athletics.
Yeah.
And then after I did that and I had my second, I was taking pictures and shooting, and I think my background in editing and advertising, I was just like, these pictures, I really wanted my pictures, like what I saw in my head was not what I could actually like physically do. I didn't have the technical skills to
Mm.
accomplish that. So I just shot and shot and shot and shot every single day. And I was like, maybe one day I could shoot families, and maybe one day I could do weddings. And
Yeah.
then it just slowly grew from there, that I was like shooting my girls every single day. And I noticed like this pattern of, and my girls are, and they were and they are, but they were like loud and emotional, and they didn't smile for the camera. They didn't have a cute outfit on. They didn't brush their hair. Like they were like
Yeah.
these little wild animals. And I
Such a good
loved
way.
that.
That's such
Like,
a good way to phrase it.
yeah, they would be like, and I loved that so much. And I loved capturing like who they were and their personalities. And I noticed I didn't see a lot of images of little girls like that. And then I kind
Hmm.
of looked around, and I didn't see the images that I would see of women, especially on social media, were like photoshopped or face tuned or filtered or just altered in some way. And
Or
I didn't like,
posed.
yes, or like,
Posed.
yeah, or like we were saying, like, no, this is my good side, or
Yeah.
like, or you're, or like, I don't know, you see this a lot with moms, and I do this, like you're hiding behind your kids,
Oh,
you know,
interesting.
and it just
Yes.
like, you're like, no, get in the damn picture, like
Yeah.
fully take up your space. And
Yeah.
so I wanted to like started specifically shooting images of girls, and then branched out to women of like of them just being themselves and knowing that that is enough. We don't need to change who we are. We don't need to alter that. We, just I was just so tired of seeing girls and women framed in this way that it really didn't reflect who we are or what we look like or how we act.
It's fascinating because flipping through Strong is the New Pretty, which is a collection of images of girls being themselves and little blurbs, like little quotes from each of the girls. And I see myself in all of them. And it makes me wonder why I don't express that more, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. And so that's where, to me, the wisdom of children is they're just reflecting back like, hey, this is you.
Yeah.
Remember when you were me?
Yes.
It's just
Yeah.
fascinating.
It's so
um
funny. I have this one image of my daughter Alice, and I don't have it around, but I have it upstairs. And she is it's a black and white photo, and she's standing in our sprinklers in a bathing suit, screaming. And
yes.
it's so funny. The other day, we had like we're getting our carpet redone, and the lady, I have a picture on our wall when you first walk in our house, and the lady walked in our house. She goes, "Oh, I have that on my desk too. I have that picture on my desk." And I was like,
Wow.
"That's my daughter." And she goes,
uh
"What?" And that picture of Alice has gotten stolen, and it's a meme now. It is. If you Google
wow.
"remember her" and you look up images, it's that image of Alice, and it says under her photo, "Remember her. Go back and get her." And I was like,
I have chills.
it was like I was like, I didn't actually create the meme, but the photo, like that meme went everywhere, all over. And it's so funny that that lady didn't know that she was like, "Wait, that's your daughter?" She's like, "I have it on my desk because I love that image." And like she
Wow.
liked that sentiment of like, remember, like we forget when we thought we could do anything, and when, and we need to remember that, especially as women.
Yeah, before we use the word should in our brain, like
Yeah.
I should do this, I should do that. It's
Yeah.
like I want to scream at a sprinkler today. you know?
Yeah.
I love that. So what was the tipping point for Strong is the New Pretty? So you were shooting your girls and then it kind of evolved, but what was the tipping point where, oh my God, this is going to be a book and
Oh,
this is
yeah.
what I'm working on?
I didn't set out to do a book. I didn't set out to, to do. Now I'm like working on my fifth book. That was not like I didn't. It's not like that I didn't have goals. I'm like super ambitious and very like, I'm very not, I wouldn't say disciplined necessarily, but I work really
Um,
hard.
you ran an Ironman. I would say you're disciplined.
I would say like, yes, there are certain areas where I'm very disciplined, but like outside those areas, this gets a little wonky.
Okay. Okay.
It's I can focus really well on something that I love and I'm interested in, which photography, and obviously like triathlon is one of those things. But yeah, it's a narrow discipline, I guess.
Okay. Okay.
um, but like so Strong is New Pretty. In 2014, I was like so excited. I was asked to be be part of a gallery show in Atlanta. Um,
Mhm.
and I had to pull 20 of my strongest images. And no, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. No idea.
Wow.
I was like,
Wow.
I have to get them printed. Who I picked them out? Like, and so I was like, okay, fine. The 20 strongest images that told a story. I printed them, I framed them, and that was like a big investment. I was, for me, 20 images and they're big. Um, but like, okay, you're gonna sell them at the gallery. They do their markup and they take their percentage. But I was like, I was already like counting my money, how much money I was gonna make on these images. And they had this big opening and nothing, not one single image sold. They are literally all upstairs in
What?
my living room. All of the 20,
What?
yeah, not one single image sold. I took them all home, like hung my head and was like, I felt terrible. I was like, I'm such a failure. Do I need to not do this anymore? But after maybe like a week or two, I got angry and I was like, you know
Mm.
what? I just reframed that no. And I was like, you know what? I don't think that they're bad pictures. I think they're pictures that maybe you just don't want to hang in your house. Doesn't mean they're
Okay.
bad and doesn't mean the message is bad, but they're very specific pictures of very specific girls. They're not like, it's their faces are in the photos, and it's
Yeah.
not like this, like it's not like the most beautiful depiction of childhood. They're messy. It's not
Yeah.
flowers and sun, and it's like little girls screaming into the camera or muddy or so I was just like, you know what, I'm reframing it. It's not a final no. That no just meant nobody wants it on their house.
Okay.
So I decided to, like, because I had done so much work, and I really, really believed in this message. So I was like, you know what? I bet other people might think that this is worthwhile. And so I decided to, like, I put all the images in Dropbox. I wrote a little paragraph about what they were about and sent it to a couple blogs that I liked. And I didn't hear anything. And then every single day I would go online and be like, oh, that blog might like it. Or, oh, maybe CNN would like it. Or the Today Show or Huffington Post. So, and I literally would go to like contact at Huffington Post. Like
Yeah.
I had no contacts.
Yeah.
And one blog ran the story. And it was this blog called My Modern Metropolis, which I still love. And then literally like a day later, CNN called, and then the Today Show called, and then I had to go on TV and
Oh, wow.
and I had never been on TV before, and I was like, what do I was so, it was just so crazy. And then maybe like a week later, a publisher called, and then and so then it just sort of like grew out of, basically because of where people saw it, they thought it was worthwhile. And if I had taken that no from the gallery show, nothing would have happened. Like absolutely nothing.
I love that you made a no wicked specific. I think that's
Yeah.
such a great tool in life that if you get a no from someone, it's like, okay, that's just a you thing.
Yes,
Not,
it's not
oh,
about what I did, but sometimes the no's are helpful.
right.
Like initially when Strong as New Pretty came out, it was my daughters and their friends. And
Mm,
they are all athletic and more tomboys, and they are but the message is, let's celebrate our girls for who they are. And there
right.
was a lot of feedback that said, what's wrong with princesses? My daughter likes to dress up. My daughter loves to dance. And I was
Okay.
like, well, I said if you read the article, I said it's fine, but I didn't show it. So I was like, sometimes the no's or the negative stuff
Yeah. Can
is
be
helpful.
constructive.
Yeah, because I was like, no, I have to address that. If now I have a book to address that, I have to, whatever I'm saying, I have to show. I'm a photographer. But
Yeah.
yeah, that I always think that, a no isn't a reflection of you. It's a reflection of who's saying it. And
Oh,
it's just like,
yeah.
you believe in something and you're passionate about something and you think what you're doing is worthwhile, keep pushing at it and just like pivot around those, like kind of like you're skiing, just
Yeah.
like around those no's, because that's not where you're meant to be. But you'll find the place because other people will be passionate about something if you are. Like if you really truly believe in something and it has a message and you want it to get a wider audience, you just need to find, like, it's obviously for Strong as New Pretty, it wasn't on the walls of rich people. It was in a coffee table book for more people. So it's just trying to
Yeah.
find the medium, I guess, sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, just finding the perfect outlet.
Yeah.
So the original article was let's celebrate our girls for who they are, and
Mhm.
then you had a publisher reach out. It was like, let's let's
Yes.
do this thing.
Yeah. I
Uh,
was so shocked. Because I wasn't like, I didn't, I didn't set out to be an author, but I was like, oh, but in the initial sort of publicity and all the stuff with Strong as New Pretty, it made me so anxious and I couldn't figure out why. And then once the book came into like sort of like view, I was like, oh, it's because little girls are not reading the internet.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
and it goes away in hours. And I want
Yeah.
something longer lasting and something more meaningful. And then once I had that, I just immediately like relaxed, and I was like, oh, that's what this is supposed to be.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that faith and specifying the no. That
Mhm.
is such a great insight. So, when you started embarking on this, on creating Strong is the New Pretty, that was a long process, wasn't it? You had photos from several years.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably had about a third of it done from the shots I'd already taken, leading up to like where we signed the contract to do the book. But then I think I had a year and a half to shoot the rest of the book. And like, I really took it upon myself. I was like, basically up until that point, it was little white girls that live north of Atlanta, which is
Mm,
not representative of all kinds of strength
yeah.
or girls in general. So I really, because I was shooting a personal project,
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with it at that point. But when I'm expanding it to a book form, I really wanted to make sure that it was as diverse as possible, and
Yeah.
like geographically, demographically, culturally. And so I traveled all over the country, finding girls that represented what strength looked like in them, not necessarily what it looked like up until that point in the project. So I wanted girls to find somebody that, like, if anybody opened the book, could find somebody that they related to and somebody that inspired them. So that was really the goal of like that rest of that 70% of the book that needed to be created.
Fantastic. I'm interested if Kate, if you would be willing to share, and I can share mine too, and I can even kick us off. But like the images and insights that just impact you the most. Um, there are some, and honestly, a lot of them are your daughters. I was like, oh, Ella, that's great. But in Strong is the New Pretty, it's page 81. But Noor says, who likes perfect anyway? Perfect is boring. And Noor has a prosthetic leg. And I just, I love that at age 11, this is coming from an 11-year-old, that at age 11, she already has that sense of being enough, and just like who would want to even be perfect anyways, like beautiful. um on page 109, it's a group of girls screaming into a fan, which who hasn't done that? Everyone's done that. And Mia, age 8, goes, you know that sound when you yell into a fan? You should try it sometime. And I love it because that does bring so much joy, and it did bring so much joy when I was a kid. And it just reminded me I should scream into a fan sometimes. Like, who cares? Like I'm an adult, but that stuff is still cool.
Yeah, no, I love all of that stuff, because you forget those simple joys of, like, you sound like a robot.
Really though. Like, and I just it would be fantastic if we celebrated weirdness a little bit more. We kind of yeah, we kind of feel embarrassed about being weird. So I am a big fan of that. And I have I have two more that really impacted me. One on 188. Megan, who's 17 years old, said strong people are not defined by goals because goals are just limitations. And that
Oh,
I was like, what? Well, you're a philosopher. You're a 17-year-old philosopher. That's crazy.
oh my gosh, I don't even remember that one. Wait, what is she doing in the photo?
She's swimming.
Oh,
She's
yes,
at swim practice.
yes, yeah. Wow,
I
I that one got that's impressive. I need
just
that on a t-shirt.
I know I that blew my mind. I was like, damn, girl, like you're crazy. And then one is Alice yelling into the sprinklers and laughing and having so much fun. And she just says, this is the best.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I think that's that photo. That one that has gone everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, like, it's so hard for me to choose what my favorites are, but yeah, the girl, like I love the mixture of like silly funny things that they say that are like, there's one that's like, like this, a little girl, and she's sitting in a, I don't know, a bulldozer, and she's like, I wanted to bulldoze my brother, my mom said no.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
Mm-hmm.
and like, and then you get like, and then you get those like Megans, like it's just, you don't know where these like gems are coming from. I love it. I love that I love their honesty. I love that they're willing to share. And yeah, I think it's a book for kids, but I feel like as adults, we like, it is almost more necessary.
It's more impactful because I think like as a kid you would read it and be like totally,
Yeah.
but as like an adult you read it and you're like, oh my God, like it's
Yeah.
so profound,
Yeah.
so profound. Um, so this book has blown up. It was on Amazon's 2017 best books.
Yeah.
What what was it like when it blew up and it became so successful? And as you mentioned before, you were on TV. And what was that like?
I mean, it was honestly, so like, so there was like a big burst of attention in media when it first went viral before the book. And then it was quiet, it was quiet while I was actually creating the book. And
Mm-hmm.
then you work for, 2 years on this book, and then it comes out. And honestly, it was funny. I was just talking to, I have a girlfriend that had a book come out yesterday. And I
Wow.
was like, I am my worst self when my books come out. I am insecure and worried, and like, it's like you're, and you feel like your shell is off, and you're,
Yeah.
because did I do enough? Is this good? Are people going to like it? Because it's sort of this, you've done everything, and you love it, and then you put it out in the world, and it's out of your control.
Yep.
And people, and it's funny, when Strong Do Pretty came out, because it was my first book, I thought I would know immediately, how are we doing? And I'm like all about the metrics. I'm like, okay, are we selling? Is my publisher happy? Is the PR, are we getting, is this normal? Is this good? And I had no frame of reference.
Mm-hmm.
And also you're on a book tour. So you're like city, 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 4 cities in a week, and then you come home. And you're like, I remember just being a mess. And I was like, because it's very slow to know how it's doing. And Strong as New Pretty was like, not immediately, like, Strong as New Pretty actually was not a New York Times bestseller. My second book, Heart of a Boy, was. But Strong
Wow.
as New Pretty is just like kept going. Like it just, it just kind of consistently, surprisingly, is just sells. Which, it's so funny, my husband's like, you don't want like all your sales in 1 week. He goes, you want to be like Pink Floyd, you want to be Dark Side of the Moon, you want to sell and sell and sell and
Yeah.
sell.
Yeah.
At the time I was like, no, I want it to be great right now,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Just immediate
yeah. But
gratification type
it's,
thing.
I don't know, it's just so, I'm just so thankful the book, all I ever want for my books is to be able to do more. Like
Mm,
I don't care, as long as my publisher thinks it's worthy enough to let me do another book. Like I
wow.
just love creating the books so much,
Yeah.
that I'm like, as long as they're happy, I'm like, that's good enough. It's good enough for me. And it's taken a little while to get there, that I don't want to like win the world and rule the world. Like I just want books that are meaningful to people, and then I can create some more.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is so beautiful that like you just love the process of doing it. That's
Yeah, because I shoot commercially the other half of the time, so I'm being creative within somebody else's
mm,
parameters, and then the books I get to like, it's on my own. Like, so if I'm shooting a commercial job, like if I was shooting for REI or something, there is a crew of, I don't know, 30 people and clients and approvals, and, oh, can we make it a banner, or
yeah,
which I actually really love. But then I love having like, there's not a lot of parameters. Like it just has to
right.
be a fit in a book, and I can find the girls, and I'm shooting literally by myself.
Yeah. Oh wow, I didn't even realize that. You don't even have a crew with you. It's just you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No,
That,
just me.
That
for
seems
sure.
like a great balance of being able to kind of have no guidelines and then having guidelines, like having some structure, some not structure. That seems
Yeah.
like a great balance.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I think they both help me get better at the other. You
Mm.
know, you know, learning, you know, doing stuff on set with a crew. Like, you know, I just get better as a photographer because I'm with other people. And then, but also the things I've learned from shooting on my own, I'm like, no, we're really making this complicated. I can just go
Oh,
shoot.
okay.
I don't need light. I can, you know, the sun is gorgeous. We don't need to like, you know, spend 30 minutes setting up lights for this shot that will be gorgeous naturally.
Anyways, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
cool. I would like to transition over to Heart of the Boy, your New York Times bestseller. This is the second book, correct?
Yeah, it was actually my third. I had, but it like I had a Strong Zoo Pretty, the guided journal
Oh,
came out in
yes.
between, but I mean it's like a littler book, so it's my second big book.
Okay. Tell me the backstory. It's very interesting. I love it.
Oh yeah, so after Strong Zoo Pretty, my publisher was like, "Hey, would you be interested in doing a book like that about boys?" And I was like, "No, not at all. No, no." I was like, "I don't have boys. I don't think boys need uh any amplification of their voices. They are fine." Like I was honestly like pissed off. I was like, no. Like why I was like, no. And then they were like, well, we really would like to do one like this about boys. So if you're not gonna do it, then we're gonna ask somebody else. And then I was like, what? Hold up. The way that I was like, let me just try then, you know,
Yeah.
thinking I just wanted to, I didn't want to like, I what even though I didn't think it was necessary. I wanted to just explore it before I gave it away.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna do like 5 boys. I'm gonna shoot 5 boys and just see what we learn from that. And after the first boy, I was like, what is wrong with me? These
Mm.
boys are, you know, like there's so much vulnerability and kindness and softness that is in these boys that I was not aware of, that I was blind to, and that is not getting rewarded or encouraged or and it's so interesting because like I've done so many commercial jobs based on Strong's New Pretty. We
Mhm.
love what you did for Strong's New Pretty.
Yeah.
We really want to show, you know, like for REI, let's show women as strong, confident, just like you did for the girls in Strong's New Pretty. And I've literally never had an inquiry trying to do the same in a sort of an advertising space for boys.
Mm.
We love what you did, like and honestly Heart of a Boy is not all about showing boys as soft and vulnerable
Yeah.
um and as like having feelings. It is a mix. It's basically the exact same message: celebrate our boys for who they are, and whether that is athletes or artists or, you know, singers or dancers, whatever the thing is, it's just extending that sort of grace to our boys that we are for our girls. But I just think we're so much farther along in the conversation and acceptance of girls as strong and confident than we are as boys and as maybe softer and more vulnerable.
Right. That message started coming to mainstream of like toxic masculinity a little bit later than feminism type
Mhm.
of messages. So totally makes sense. But this book is so beautiful and actually, can you tell me any surprises, like any additional surprises? Of course, realizing that boys need this too, but anything else stick out to you?
I mean, I was surprised at how open the boys were
Mm,
because I just had this, you know, like I don't have boys. I don't spend a lot of quality time with you know, middle school, teenage boys. I kind of assumed that they wouldn't talk or they wouldn't want me to shoot them or they would be like, that's not cool. I don't want to do that.
mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I didn't get that at all. I did.
Wow.
They were more because I'm generally shooting kids doing the thing they're most passionate about,
Mhm.
whatever that looks like, and they were really proud of themselves, and they were. excited to share that with me, whether, you know, it was fencing or cooking or whatever the thing was. They were like very open, and they acted exactly the same way the girls did.
Wow.
The only difference I noticed is that, so we always try to get quotes from the kids about whatever they're doing, and with the girls it was super easy. You know, we got the quotes very easily, didn't have to follow up. With the boys it was so much more of a difficult task pulling quotes out of these boys. We would get like one word answers because I send like a survey and then we'll tweak it, or but like the survey I would literally get one word answers from. So, and I'm like, no, we need a sentence, we need a little bit more, you know, like we had to follow up a lot more with the boys. And I just wonder if that's like a cultural thing, that they're just a little bit less talkative or less open. They're really willing to do it in person, but maybe writing it down, I don't know, it was just an interesting thing I noted. I don't know why, or but it was just, that was the one marked difference between the creation of the books, was trying to get the quotes.
Yeah, it could. I mean, I don't know for sure, but it could be having to share and the vulnerability of sharing
Yeah,
versus just like doing their thing and you're taking pictures and they're like, I'm doing my thing. And then if you ask them like, how do you feel about that? They like are there's like a little bit of like a hesitation perhaps.
yeah, and the girls are like, "Bleh,"
Yeah,
here.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So I believe this is Sammy on the cover.
Yes, it's my nephew. Yes.
Oh my God, melt your heart.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Cutest little boy. Um, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to share a couple that stuck out to me as well.
Sure.
Um, so page 34, Ike, who is 13 years old. Strong is not being afraid to show your brother how much you care about him.
Love Ike, and Ike's brother Jackson has Down syndrome and is honestly like the sweetest human I've ever met.
And it's what a beautiful what a beautiful sentiment. Just
Yeah.
sharing with people how much you love them is strong, and it is there is like a vulnerable it is vulnerable to share that oftentimes. I also loved Miles B, who's 9 years old, saying being a boy isn't really different from being a girl. It's just being yourself. Sometimes I'm strong, but sometimes I am not. Sometimes I am tough, sometimes I am not. Beautiful.
Yes.
9 years old. We're all the same.
Yeah. I'm just Miles. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And then um the last one I'll share, which I have like a zillion sticky notes, but is Atticus on page 148 saying he's also 9 years old and he has sick blue hair and
Mhm.
like cool. Yeah, he looks awesome. He says, people say you look like a girl. Your hair is too long. Your hair isn't normal. Your hair doesn't look like boy hair. Why are you wearing pink leggings? Why do you wear tight clothes? Why do you wear so much jewelry? His response, because I like the way I am. What?
Atticus. Love it.
At 9 years old, being like people are clearly trying to
Mhm.
socialize him, mold him into whatever makes them the most comfortable. And he's like, no, not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Atticus also for years had like a rat tail that went down, like almost down his back. And like, I remember his mom saying, like, people made fun of him about it. And he was like, I don't care.
That's
And then
so
he dyed it blue. And yeah, he likes pink. And he's like, he's such a little athlete too. You know, he's got all of the sides in one little body, which I think is amazing.
wow. Are there any other insights or like big things that came out of shooting this book, creating this book that impacted you?
It was honestly the main thing that was that I mean, I was just disappointed in myself that I didn't think it was needed. And
Oh, okay.
and but also like some for myself who consider I consider myself like caring and open and progressive. The fact that I didn't think we needed it is like just a sign that we needed this so much more, like that people that are, I'm a feminist and I'm trying to, push forward all these sort of ideas, that I was like, no, boys are fine. Like,
Yeah.
was sort of like, oh no, I just feel like it's it's so needed, and maybe even more so than Strong and Pretty.
Wow. That's powerful, especially because as you said, like you're a progressive person, like, that it that's a really good barometer of like, oh, holy smokes, we need this a ton.
Yes, yeah. It just was like a big blind spot for me.
Yeah. What is your hope for boys and girls too as they grow up after shooting this and seeing who they are? Like what's your hope for them?
I mean, I hope that they do get to be like, embrace their weirdness, and
Mm,
that they don't lose their sense of that they're amazing and that they're awesome and then they can accomplish anything and they can do anything. I hope that society doesn't sort of soften or shave down those harder edges of them that makes them unique and
yeah.
special, and honestly is what gets you ahead as an adult, that they
Mm.
don't lose that part of them, that little spark of them that makes them different because they're worried that it makes them weird.
Oh, embrace the weirdness. Big fan.
Embrace it. Yeah.
So, how have you changed as a result of working on these books?
I mean, honestly, I feel like the best part of being a photographer is like I get little glimpses into places that I would never get to go. And
Yeah.
I've gotten to see and experience so many things. Like, I wouldn't know what a diver does, or what a male dancer goes through,
Hmm.
or um like the competitive cheer. I would never know I would never sort of respect what badass athletes they are, because
Really?
I think I would have been put off by the makeup.
Hmm.
I would have been like, no, I don't know about that. But then I get to go in there. I just feel like it's opened my mind so much in so many
Wow.
different ways. Rather than like keep, my little narrow world of like, oh I played soccer, my girls play soccer. I know what that's like. But I get to know, I mean, it's not as deep, but I get to see into worlds that I would never get to normally see. And I just feel so lucky for that. And I hope the books do a little bit of that. If you like read the book a little bit, that you get a little insight into, maybe that's not for me, but like, how cool is that for them?
Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic exposure to different walks of life. Kate, what is your goal or your dream for your work?
Okay, this one I know it feels like you feel like you're jinxing stuff if you put it out there. But like,
Knocking on all of the wood for you.
yeah, so I mean, I would really like to expand the work into other media. We're working on like a documentary style series,
Wow.
following following some kids like who are changing the world and being themselves, and so we're working on trying to put that together to try and sell that and make that, like just expanding, because a book is limiting, not everybody has access to books, and just trying to make it, I just, make it bigger and more accessible is really what I would love to do. And honestly, like just keep having the opportunity to create more books.
Yeah. Yeah. You said that you have five. We talked about two today. Do you mind just sharing like what the other ones are?
Sure. So there's Strong as You Pretty, then the Strong as You Pretty, the guided journal, which I love so much. It's so much fun. Um,
Mm,
and it's like a journal you write in and you mess it up, and like it just takes all the ideas of Strong as You Pretty and puts them into like little prompts for girls. You know,
okay.
okay, what's your favorite meal? Ask somebody to help you learn how to cook it, and you use the journal as like a spoon rest. And yeah, like, so basically,
Oh, that's fun. Make it messy.
yes, you make it messy and you draw on it, and then there's like, like one of those things you flip through it, and it makes a little, you can do a little drawing, and rip this little portion out, and you leave a note for a coach or a teacher that you respect. And
Wow.
I just loved making that so much. So after the journal, we did Heart of a Boy, and then last summer I came out with my fourth book called Play Like a Girl, which is all about the life lessons that girls and women learn through soccer.
Yeah.
And then now I'm starting work on my fifth book, which is all about joy. So
Yes.
like, something that I feel like has been sadly missing in the last year or so. So I just really wanted to focus on simple joys, big joys, overwhelming joys, like tiny little joy, like all the kinds of joy that we have, and expanding it to like a book that is girls, boys, adults, everybody together.
And just all ages. It's just
Yeah,
everybody.
focusing
Wow.
most on kids just because I feel like kids are so much better at joy than we are.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but also like, having some select adults in there too.
Okay, cool. That it's funny that you mentioned that. I'm actually currently in a 28 days of joy challenge I do for myself a couple times a year. If I think a month is going to be a little rough or rocky, February historically rocky month for me. So I do these challenges of like doing one thing for joy every day to kind of give me something to look forward to, keep me accountable for doing things that I love. And
Oh, I love it. Wait,
yeah.
what are a few things that you've done?
Um, dancing is
Okay.
so that another cool thing about it is I now have a little notebook and a little template of if I'm ever feeling funky, these are
Yeah.
all the things that bring me joy. Um, dancing, love dancing. Also, I found cooking brings me a lot of joy.
Okay.
And also going out and getting a treat for myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, painting, taking the time to paint my nails,
Yeah.
like
That does it for me because then I'm like, I'm always like, I look at them and it makes me like, I feel like, oh, I'm done. I'm like, like even if I'm a mess, my hands are not.
yeah, yeah. So those are some of them, but even just going for a walk before work outside and
Yeah.
taking pictures of flowers. That's something that I started doing when I go for walks. I just take pictures of really beautiful flowers and it's just like, hello, I'm surrounded by beauty here, just
I love that. All right.
yeah.
So I have a question for you. This is a question that I'm sort of asking people that I'm shooting for the book. All right. Taking away spending time with friends and family.
Yeah.
What consistently in your life has brought you the most joy? Is that
No, not a
okay?
tough question. Dancing.
Oh, I love it.
I started out as a little kid just having crazy dance parties in my room by myself. And like the moment my mom knocked on the door because it was time for dinner or something, I would get so mad because I'm like, this is my time. Um, but I've always danced, like having dance parties in my room,
Mhm.
and I've started to bring them back more. It was a little bit different going to college when you have a roommate and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't
Yeah.
want to. And also I get a little bit more self-conscious, just letting it go. But yes, dancing is just such a beautiful release and just going for it, like truly going for it.
Not
Just
caring. Not caring. Yeah.
not caring at all, which is why it's to me, it's better to be completely alone. But
That's
yeah.
awesome. I love it.
What's yours?
Oh, mine is it's not photography. I love photography, but it's stressful. It's
Mhm.
stressful sometimes. For me, it is 100% dogs.
Wow.
My dog, like dogs in general. Like if I see a dog out in the street, I want to go hug it and kiss it and talk to it. And like
Yeah.
we have two golden retrievers. I just adore them.
Oh,
They just make me, so happy.
because they're like almost always so happy. There are like a few dogs that are just like grumpy, but well, the majority are just like, this is so cool, and
Oh,
like run
just love
up to
you.
you
Yes.
and they're like, hey, be my friend. It's just so cute.
Like, hey, I want to kiss you. Yeah, like yeah, and you make like you take them for a walk. You literally make their day. That is like the highlight of it's like winning the lottery. If you're like, I can't even say it because I'll go crazy.
Yeah. I love it. Kate, is there anything else exciting you right now, challenging you right now? Anything else you'd like to add or share that we didn't get to touch on?
I mean, I think we covered a lot. I'm
I think so
so like
too.
I love your energy and your excitement, and I'm so thankful to get to talk about what I do. And honestly, like I feel like what I it's gonna get I feel like I can't believe that this is my job and I feel like somebody's going to take it away.
Wow.
But it's like
Yeah.
I just very thankful for the work that I get to do.
Ah, that's so beautiful. Kate, how can we find you? How can we find your books?
So my books are anywhere books are sold. I mean, I would certainly try to hit up your independent bookstores as they've been hit really hard.
Yeah.
You can find me. Instagram is probably the best. I'm just Kate T. Parker on Instagram, or also you can find us at Strong as New Pretty, which is more like angled at the female and kid empowerment. But yeah, that's where I am.
Beautiful. Check her out, folks.